it's Nikki, and I am here with my first wrap-up of the year. I have decided, after much debating, that instead of doing monthly wrap-ups at the end of every month, I am going to do a wrap-up every 5 books that I finish. I am still going to be doing my challenge of you guys picking books for me to read off my own TBR, and how I'm going to do that now is instead of doing 2 per month, I'm going to do at least 2 per 5 book wrap up. So every 5 books I read, I will have at least 2 of those be ones that you picked out for me. And on that note, I will actually start with the 2 books that were picked for me. Both of these were picked for me from friends on Goodreads. And the first of these is Queen Takes Night by Jolie Sue Burkhart. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. It is a vampire erotica that is reverse harem, includes blood play, poly type situation. I really enjoyed this. I don't think I've ever read anything where blood play was a big part of the erotica, and I'm kind of into that, so if you think you might be icked out by that, this probably isn't the book for you, but I thought it was a fun read. I definitely plan on continuing the rest of the series, and I'm glad I got it recommended to me. The book follows Shara Isidore, and she is on the run from these strange creatures that seem to want to kill her at the beginning of the book, and her life is kind of turned upside down when these 2 guys show up rescuing her at just the last minute and tell her that she is a vampire and is their queen, and they want to devote themselves to protecting her forever. None of that is a spoiler, by the way. It is all in the synopsis of the book and happens within the first few pages. So don't worry, there are a lot of surprises and revelations about Shara, her mother, her family, where she comes from, how vampire society works in this book. If you are a fan of like political intrigue and court-like politics, this also is probably going to be the series for you. Like I said, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I will definitely be continuing the series. The second of the 2 books that I was recommended out of my own TBR shelf is Maids of Misfortune by M. Louisa Locke. It is a Victorian mystery, and I really liked this. It was very adorable and cute. It had a really cute, just like I said, adorable romantic subplot. It had that kind of cozy mystery feel while still having like a sense of suspense. The main character is Annie Fuller. She is a widow living in San Francisco in Victorian times, and gets into looking into this case of a dear friend of hers who she doesn't quite believe committed suicide. It was just a delightful read all around. I wasn't really sure if I should expect something more suspenseful or more cozy, and I found that it was a really nice balance of both. I didn't know that it was going to have a romantic subplot, but I really actually liked it. I thought it was really cute. It's kind of a little bit of a slow burn romance, and I also appreciated that the book kept me guessing. Like, I didn't really know who done it until like the very end climax, basically, when the person who did it admitted, like showed their hand and admitted that they did it. So I mean, it did a good job on that, and that's something that I also really appreciate in a mystery. So 4 out of 5 stars for that one. The next book I'm going to talk about was actually the first book that I started reading, but I did take the whole month of January to finish it, and that was I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. It is a true crime account of all of her research into the Golden State Killer. I actually read this as part of a Facebook book club that I'm in. I will link that book club down below if you are interested in checking it out, but it was our nonfiction selection for January. And I really enjoyed it. I haven't read a ton of true crime, but it is something that I want to get into more. I really liked how you could feel her sense of obsession and how much this case consumed her through the writing. If you don't know much about the book, she did pass away before the book is finished. A few people did kind of go through her notes, and the sections that were not specifically written by her but were compiled by her notes are noted as such. You can definitely feel a change. Like, her writing is very distinct, and so those chapters do, even if they didn't have that little disclaimer, you could probably kind of tell which ones weren't directly written by her. Though overall, I would give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Kadin by Mel Teshko. So there's a little bit of a story behind this book. I am doing an Uno challenge in a Goodreads group, and one of the cards that you can get is reverse in Uno, and the prompt for that is to read a book that somebody else on your team has read. So our 2 team captains had already read this book, and kind of in discussing what we're going to do for each of the cards, we all decided that the rest of us on the team were going to read this book because they really hyped up how ridiculously silly it was to them. And so if we all read it, it would cover almost all of our reverses for the month of February. This book is a dragon shifter erotica. It's a little bit on the shorter-ish side. It's a little over 100 pages. It wasn't as silly/bad as I was led to believe. It definitely was silly. It definitely had some cringeworthy moments. It wasn't a phenomenal piece of writing, but it wasn't terrible. I have definitely read some way worse, way cringier, way just what the fuck erotica. So it wasn't as bad. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars because I did find it entertaining. I did find it funny. It wasn't a terrible plot. I didn't get annoyed by the characters. It wasn't amazing, but I didn't hate it either. So that's kind of where I sit my 3 stars at. If you are looking for a semi-funny, kind of sometimes ridiculous at times, dragon shifter erotica, I would check this out. The last book I'm going to talk about is Violet Eyes by John Everson. This is a creature feature style book featuring killer spiders and flies, so all the creepy crawlies. There were definitely a couple times while reading this book where I was just like, ugh. I am a little bit arachnophobic. I used to be a lot worse when I was a kid. I couldn't even be in the same room as a spider or watch them on TV even. I like to watch a lot of nature documentaries, even as a kid. And if spiders came on, or scorpions, because I know some people are just spiders. For me, it's all arachnids for some reason. They just get me. I can handle bugs okay, but not arachnids. But I used to not be able to even watch them on TV. Now I'm to the point where as long as I don't feel like they could get on my person, I'm okay. I can even go and look at the spider exhibits at zoos and stuff. As long as I feel like the spider or the scorpion or whatever type of arachnid cannot get onto my persons, then I can keep my anxiety level in check. So definitely this one got to me. It was even more than I wanted it to be. I find with this genre, I try not to get my expectations too high because sometimes they can just be book versions of B movies basically, and I'm totally fine with that if that's what I'm in the mood for. So when they are actually just really good books on top of being that creature feature brain candy for me, that's just a definite plus. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. Basic synopsis of it is there's a town in the Everglades. These strange biting flies with purple eyes, or violet eyes as they say in the book, end up showing up, as well as these strange spiders have the violet eyes as well. It starts off pretty much as just an annoyance, and as you can imagine escalates from there. People end up dead, there's a government conspiracy. It's a fun time. I did have a couple problems with how some of the characters were handled, mainly how Anders was. I don't feel like he should have gotten some of the sympathy he got later on in the book as it was written. So overall, if you're looking for a creepy crawly creature feature type book that is real scary, does the horror really well, then I would recommend Violet Eyes. So that's all for this 5-book wrap-up for books 1 through 5 of 2019. If you've read any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Or if you want to let me know what your favorite book that you've read so far in 2019 is. As well, if you would like to suggest a book for my 2 per wrap-up that are picked by other people, I will have a link down to my owned TBR shelf in the description box. You can look through that, find something you think I should read, something you want me to talk about, and comment it down below on this video. I hope you are having a wonderful day and or evening. Good night, bookworms.